What up, YouTube? It's your girl, Lace Queen 511. Please consider liking this video, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. Today, I was watching YouTube videos and I came across a topic that is near and dear to me that I am passionate about, which is addiction. I really don't like to ram basically everything that involves addiction down people's throats. So, I just tread light because it's a very sensitive subject. But today I titled this video, Food versus Weed versus Opiate Addiction. And it really can be any addiction, because addiction is basically being addicted to any activity, substance, or even a person can be addicting. So, when I actually looked at some of the videos, I was really, really disappointed in how a person was treated. And I don't know, it's really kind of emotional. I was really disappointed how that person was treated. It just really doesn't seem quite fair to shame somebody for having addiction. If you know somebody with addiction, you probably will know, or if you don't know, that addiction is considered a mental health disorder. So it affects, obviously, the mind because it's a mental health disorder. But if we look at other addictions and we really break it down, like if we look at food can be addicting. You see people that eat and eat and eat until they're morbidly obese because they're addicted to foods. And a lot of people think because of different chemicals that are put in our food, that's why we're addicted to it. So there's no difference then from a food addiction than there is from an opiate addiction. It's playing on the same neurotransmitter, which is pretty much the dopamine that gives you that euphoria that we talked about a few weeks ago, that makes you feel really good about what you're doing. And so if you feel good about what you're doing, you're going to continue to do it. Also, weed addiction, like we've even seen it on YouTube, that there are some people that can't even go a whole life without smoking weed, no matter if it's legal or not, because as we know, Percocets are legal. But just because it's legal, and food is legal too, right? But just because it's legal doesn't mean it's healthy for you and it's healthy for your brain. So really, when you have a person that is addicted to something, no matter what substance it is, and you're judging them, just know that if you have something that you're addicted to, you're pretty much in the same boat as them. Back to the marijuana addiction. So the facility that I worked at, they did offer treatment for marijuana addiction. We really didn't have anyone that I seen that came in for having a marijuana addiction. I mean, it was on a list of drugs that they were addicted to, but I mean, it was like, okay, it's marijuana. And of course it's legal out here where I live. So, and I looked up the criteria for having a marijuana card, just because I wanted to do my research before I even started doing this video. And I was amazed because there was only 2 mental health diagnoses for my state that you were required to have to receive a medical marijuana card. And one was social anxiety disorder, and the other one was post-traumatic stress disorder. And considering how highly addictive marijuana is, I was really shocked that there was only 2 mental health disorders that qualifies you to have a card for marijuana. So, like I said, when we think of addiction with my phone vibrated, I'm sorry. But addiction with marijuana is the same as being addicted to an opiate. Addiction is addiction. So we can't shame one person because they have this type of addiction and then not shame somebody else. But we shouldn't shame altogether, because what does that really help? There are some people in your life that they want to always give you the bigger picture of what you should do, but they don't want to go down the little steps with you to help you. It's just all about the bigger picture. You need to get off. You need to stop. And me knowing from working in a detox center that if it was that easy, people would just stop. Some people think that you just go through withdrawals for 3 days. Withdrawals can happen in your body for up to a year. It just depends on the person. So, and it may not even be just that. Some people do have chronic pain. Marijuana is used for chronic pain, and obviously opiates are too. So the difference is they just legalize marijuana and people just buy it at a dispensary. So, I'm like kind of thinking off the top of the dome too. I've seen people in much better situations that have been addicted to certain substances, meaning that, if you see a person, you see them and where they live, and you look at them and be like, go get help. Like, I see people with lots of money that become addicted to the same substances, and it is not that easy for people to get off those substances. It really is hard. That's why they call it addiction, and that's why it has a diagnosis code, because it is real. And that's why insurance companies are paying for people to go to rehab, because it is just that strong. They're finally recognizing addiction, but unfortunately, it's, of course, when it's out of control. So I don't really have any like what to do for anybody, because I don't know somebody on that level. Like I said, I'm the type of person, I need to know the details. It's not about the bigger picture. The bigger picture, oh, you need to get help. Okay, like that's obvious. But what about the details in that situation? You don't know what a person has been through regarding post-traumatic stress or any type of thing that they've gone through in their life to make them feel like they need to get to use a substance to mask that kind of pain. So yelling at them and attacking them is not going to help. But finding treatment centers and asking what can you do to help that person might be a way to get through to that person. But there's a lot of people that have kids that are addicted, and if it was that easy, I promise you, people would just stop. But it is really not that easy. When your mind is addicted to something, and then, of course, it starts to affect your body, because when you get off of it, then your body reacts in a certain way as well. But I just wish that we wouldn't shame people for being addicted, because if we're talking about addiction comes in a lot of different ways. Even cigarettes are addicting, and they had to start putting that on the patch, right? Or the pack, right? So just don't want to be too judgmental, and try to be more understanding of how to get a person help versus forcing them or yelling at them, because that obviously doesn't work. Now, even if a person is doing this just for show, there's so many people I encountered when I worked at the detox center, or when I work at a detox center, that all they're doing is going to rehab, so their family probably won't take their kids. So their probation officer won't send them to jail. So their wife can shut up complaining about it. Like there's reasons like that people go to addiction centers to get help, and they're sober for a little while. Like it doesn't really last. So as I said, that's why it's better to get an understanding of the person. But a lot of us, we don't want to go that deep. Somebody has an anxiety attack once or twice, and you be like, oh, I can't deal with you no more. You just too much. You need to get help. And if you don't get help, then you can't come back over here. Like that's light work. Like when you really start taking off the layers of people and who they are, you realize people have been through a lot of traumatic experiences. So as people, and if you do care, like I said, try to dig deeper into what it actually is, and that way you would know how to help someone. If you're not a trained person, well, maybe you can find a person that is trained to help them. Maybe you can even, take up a collection to pay for it. But like I said, that's just too much for some people. They don't want to go that deep. They like the superficial side of it because it keeps them detached. So I think I've covered all my notes. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below. I hope that no one thinks that I'm making light of addiction, because I really don't make light of addiction at all. I know that it's really serious, and I know for sure that there are people that have people in their family history that have been addicted to alcohol, and maybe you weren't addicted to alcohol. It manifests in a different way, but addiction is addiction. So this is your girl, Lace Queen 511. Please consider commenting, liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. Bye.